Good day, everybody. I'm Dr. Ned Amani, and welcome to the Dr. Ned Show. Today's video is done last minute, or upon request actually, by a dear viewer, member of our human family out in California, who has requested that we do a video to help people right now with anxiety and stress from the circumstances around the COVID crisis and the general uncertainty that this crisis has caused for every single person around the world. We will have further videos in the future around general approaches, medical approaches, more medical approaches, lifestyle approaches to managing stress and anxiety. But today's video is going to be really focused on the role of emotional and spiritual well-being and healing in managing uncertainty, so that we can short circuit really the time that everyone that's watching right now will need in order to really access their own healing power to calm themselves, both mentally, emotionally, and physically, in really accessing their own power to be able to respond in the best way to the demands and the challenges that are in your day and in the days ahead. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce to you all our special guest today, Jenna Fulton. So Jenna, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm actually really excited to be here today. So,
thank you. So I'm excited for you to be with me, and I'm excited for you to be with the world. Your healing journey, how you've used the challenges in your life, has had a huge impact on me, because we're all connected.
Yes.
Has inspired me. I'm getting goosebumps just saying this right now. And I really appreciate you being here, because I felt that it would really help people, everyone who's watching, really learn that, the challenges in life, the stress that we're experiencing right now, the unknowns that everyone's experiencing in one way or another, how we can use those to actually access our highest power, heal, right? Mm-hmm. And then how that healing journey can actually have such a huge effect, on others and on the world that we're creating, right now. We're all in, how can we access that power? So with that, I'm just going to let you share your story.
Well, I guess I'll first start off by saying that, I was at a point a few years ago where I would wake up in the morning, and the thought of getting up, getting out of bed, doing what I had to do, going to work, it was exhausting. It felt almost hopeless, in that I couldn't believe that I had come to this point in my life where I felt that this was all that life was. Get up, go to work, eat, sleep, repeat, right? Like pay bills, this is life. Is this life? This is why we're here. I'm 30, at the time I was 37, I believe, thinking like, this can't be my life cycle right now. There's got to be something more to this. And it was actually starting to really impact me, that I guess you'd call it sadness, depression. I believe that when you ignore things like depression, stress, anxiety, or you try to bury it or hide it or go past it, obviously it will do more damage. It needs to be recognized. It needs to be validated. We need those feelings. Those feelings are what essentially give us the ability to know what it feels like to be the opposite, right? You can't really have, obviously, true happiness unless you've really felt sorrow. You need to feel that. But it's almost a kick in the pants to be like, okay, this is not right. This is not right. And that's what happened to me. I'm not here for this. I'm here for something more. Something deep inside me said I am here for something much more than this. So I decided to do something about it. I was tired of feeling that way. And that's how I met you. And my life kind of changed from that point on. I learned the simple act of practicing gratitude, which, and not just walking through the motions of, okay, yes, yeah, I'm grateful that I'm here, but I still feel this way. No. I started practicing gratitude for the simplest of things. Like if I was standing in the shower, I would feel the water on my skin. I would feel the warmth and comfort of that shower, and I would almost revel in how lucky I was to have this warm shower when you consider how many people around the globe do not, okay? Things that we take for granted, drinking water, okay? I have water I can drink. I have food I can eat. I have a job I can go. Forget about being, dissatisfied with your day-to-day in terms of the duties that are required for you to perform your job. You have a job. You have a way. When we stop, even someone who is without a job and without certain things is still alive, and we're still here. So practicing gratitude is easy because it begins with being thankful for the simplest of things that you take for granted every day. Make it even the silliest of things that you don't think of. Socks. They're literally keeping my feet warm right now. I am very thankful. And you kind of, it becomes a habit, and you build that into your life, and suddenly, I don't know how I can really verbalize it, but it became lighter here. And I guess I call that my heart kind of opening, right? I was no longer resisting things that I used to feel challenged me, and I didn't like them. I was being grateful for them, including feelings of anxiety, stress, and sadness. I actually began to welcome those feelings because they're part of me too. And when I welcomed them and allowed them to exist within me, and I didn't resist them, they suddenly became less powerful, and they became simply something in transit passing through, okay? And then they just slowly go away because and I think an important message for people to hear, and it is crucial because I have personally been in very deep depths of sorrow, as most people have, and in depression. It is temporary. It is not forever. When you fall into a low place, or you feel hopeless, that is not a permanent place. And when you can understand, and it's very hard to see when you're in that moment, it is hard to see that there is a way out, but there is always a way out, and those moments are temporary. And then when you get out of those moments, you can actually look back with gratitude at those moments and say, wow, that really taught me, A, B, or C, or I'm so strong now because of this. And having gone through it myself is allowing me to literally sit here beside you, telling you this, having other people hear this, and just hopefully help people realize, in those moments, it can seem like your entire world is crashing down around you. But if you stop and you become mindful of that exact moment, and you breathe, do deep breaths, and say, okay, I'm sitting in my living room right now. Everything's okay. A lot of where our stressors come from are created in our own mind of us thinking about past events or thinking about potential future events that haven't even happened yet. We're ignoring this exact moment that we're in, right? So that is really that's where a lot of it started for me, was practicing gratitude, and it helped me. It woke me up, and it helped me realize how important gratitude for the simplest of things helped me live in the now, in the moment, and really helped understand that mindfulness approach. And it really alleviated, it didn't just alleviate the feelings of hopelessness. This happened over time. This wasn't like an overnight thing, but when I really got a good hold of it, it didn't just eliminate that hopelessness. It gave it purpose, and it made me understand how necessary it was and how important that was. It was just an entirely different way to look at it. And then, of course, it led to so many other things after that. After that point, my life has continued to open up just so many wonderful things just by being grateful that they're there and seeing the importance of every moment, and like creating art, feeling the need to create. I've always liked to create, but creating isn't just creating art or sculpting something or building something. It's not even something tangible. You can create energy. You can spread energy. Well, you can create energy, I mean, like, you can take your gratitude and help create joy in another person.
Yes.
That is creation, right? All of those things are so crucial. At least for me in my personal life, the ability to create at all is actually why I believe we are here as human beings and souls experiencing life on earth right now. But yeah, all of those things, awakening to that really helped me become confident in my ability to kind of get through anything here. Because I don't know. Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like I was off on a really long tangent there, but
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
Wow. What a great reminder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking how to take all of that
I
in
know,
right now.
it was a
because
lot,
that's-
sorry.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, I needed that reminder, just the socks, right?
Yeah, but
I don't think I've ever been
so
grateful for my socks.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's what I'm saying.
But
It
that's
sounds silly,
Yeah.
but if you actually stop
Yeah.
and consider
So
what your life would be like without that one little thing,
Yeah.
and how much better your life is with that little thing.
Yeah.
And I know that when people are really down, really stressed,
Yeah.
really anxious,
Yeah.
it is, you almost don't want to hear it. You don't
No.
want to hear
Yeah.
the happy, joyful, light and love, because you're just so deep in that moment. You have to be at a stage where you want to change, where you want to get out of that moment. And if you're at a point where you're feeling like you're in it and there's no way out and that you can't get out, perhaps you actually need to be in that moment just a little bit longer. But the way out is there. It's always there. There's never not a way out.
So how did you, there's so much there, so I'm going to bring it to probably something that I'm feeling maybe a lot of people are feeling is, how did you get, because the gratitude is so huge, Thank you for making a big emphasis on that, because it does plant us in this moment right now, which you're saying, I'm getting goosebumps, what you're saying is so important. I know in my own healing journey, and in working with people, as patients, and it's so important to be present in the here and now, not into the future where we get anxious, worried because we don't know what's going to happen, we're not in control, not into the past, which is gone, no longer a reality, but smack right here, right now, which is what life is unfolding, and our presence is then contributing to how it's unfolding, not just for ourselves, but like you said, for other people. So that gratitude point is really, really important. But what got you, the other part that you said that was really so important, so well said, is that you got to a point where you welcomed, and I know this happened again in my own healing journey, where there was no shame or guilt, right? Because those are really low vibrational, low energy, low health-giving power, right? Low, weak vibrationally, energetically feelings, which we all have to a degree, but if the more we have, the weaker we are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, of shame and guilt around being depressed or anxious and, or not in a good place. So that's so critical is to accept those. And Rumi, there's a poet, I don't know if you know about the poet, I think it's Rumi, he's a Persian poet, Iranian poet, who has a really famous poem about this, is every morning, every day brings you different kinds of things, it's going to bring sadness, it's going to bring joy, and welcome them all in as guests to your home. Don't turn away the sadness, don't turn away, the anger, don't turn away, accept them, be with them, and just like you said, you couldn't have said it any better, that by that acceptance they somehow went away.
They don't demand to be heard so loudly anymore because you aren't refuting them. You know?
And so what brought you to that place where you first of all connected to the gratitude, but then also got to this place where you were in this depths of sadness and which I know personally as well.
What brought me to the depths?
What brought you to the place where you said, what, I'm going to welcome it, I'm going to accept it, I'm going to use it. What made? Because I know people out there right now who are feeling this way.
I was ready.
I was ready, and I in those low moments I felt my spirit. I feared that I was losing why what my purpose was. I feared that I knew, like, I've always had this feeling of being here for a reason, always.
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, every soul is here for a reason. Every single person. Not necessarily everybody feels that way.
Yeah.
But I wholeheartedly believe that every human is here on this planet at this time for a very, very specific reason.
Yeah.
And so I just felt that I was disconnected. I felt so disconnected from, I guess, my spirit, my soul, from everything. And then I just felt so almost like a robot going, getting up, going through just simply going through the motions of life. And so I like I said, I had had enough, and I was ready to try to make change. And the thing that I was taught to practice gratitude. And in practicing the gratitude, it just naturally made me start being grateful for all of these things. And it gave me an awareness that I didn't really have before, or it awakened an awareness that perhaps was there but had been sleeping, in that just the importance of every emotion that we experience, all of it, anger, rage, guilt, shame, happiness, joy, excitement, it all culminates into this, I'll use an art metaphor, I guess, into this beautiful canvas and artwork of life.
Yeah.
All of it is relevant. All of it is needed. All of it is what adds depth. Every single experience you have will give you a perspective in your life that will teach you for some other thing, even if it's helping someone else do something in their own life, which helping someone else do something in their own life is one of the utmost reasons why we're here, to be of service, to help others.
Yeah.
Like,
that is the reason.
Yeah.
We're here for that reason, of being service to others.
Yeah.
And in our own, so that's a really great point, is that just like pain, right? When we have pain in our physical body, it's pointed to something that's wrong, that's not right, right? It could be a food we ate that we're getting,
It serves a purpose.
It could be
Yeah.
because
Telling
we're
us
having a bad posture, it could be because we're not exercising, whatever that physical pain we're feeling, it's a gift actually, if we listen to it, that there's something not right with a number of different things. And if we listen to it, then it can actually help us heal, help us grow, help us evolve. So similarly, the emotions that we feel, that we run away from, or our society from a very young age teaches us that are bad or not good, the emotions of sadness, of anxiety, of despair, even hopelessness, anger, they're messages, they're gifts, if we listen to them, that something is not right. So I mean, it could be you're not in the right marriage.
Yep.
Right? So you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed. It could be you're not in the right work. I know with a lot of the people with my own work, you're not doing the right work. It could be that you're not living in the right environment, in the right home. You're not with the right people. You're not maybe expressing yourself creatively when you should be. There's so many things if we listen to them.
yes, definitely. When you were talking about how anger or anxiety or any kind of those feelings trapped inside are actually signaling that there's something wrong in your life, it's 100% true. I totally agree with that. It's lower vibrational emotions or heavy, dense emotions are often signs that there's unresolved issues within us. Like perhaps you suffered some type of a trauma as a child and you've never really addressed it, and so you harbor anger regarding that. Or even things like if you haven't forgiven people, okay, so grudges, things like that live inside of you, they manifest outwardly in ways that you may not realize. The same way that our happiness impacts others, our unresolved emotions impact others, because perhaps we speak more negatively to the clerk at the store. Perhaps we're short-tempered with our kids. Perhaps we're short-tempered with our partner, and we're not as present at work. We're not as diligent with something because we're holding on to these feelings. You may not even be aware.
Subconsciously, exactly.
Yeah, you may not even be aware that you have these
Yeah.
unresolved issues. And that's why I often have conversations with my partner, Blake, just about all of the issues that are going on in the world. Right now we're living in a very terrible, tumultuous, scary, stressful time.
Yeah.
And it can seem hopeless, it can seem, and there's that old saying, or the old feeling of how can one person change the world, but like literally one person can begin to change the world, because I truly believe the answer to a healthier world starts with the individual, and it starts with you as your own self doing the inner work to figure out what's triggering you. Why do you feel this way? And which is another reason why these negative emotions are so important, and another reason to be so grateful for them, is because they are showing you what you need to do to live a better life. Healing these emotions, healing these things will open up an entire new world for you. At least that was the case for me. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm fully healed and that I know the answers to. I don't. I'm a human. I get triggered. I get mad. I feel all of it.
Yeah.
The difference is that I try to, instead of having a knee-jerk reaction to something we see on the news, to something we hear about, any political leader, this or that, instead of getting angry at it and wondering why I'm having that or just feeling that reaction and directing it at someone or something else, instead I really try to go, why did that make me feel that way?
Exactly.
Why is this person saying this at this time on the news making me feel scared, that angry, whatever? Or why is my friend doing this making me feel inadequate, jealous, whatever? Examine those feelings, really examine them, because that's where the healing, in my opinion, lies. And it doesn't, it's not easy. It's not done overnight. Like you have to be honest with yourself, and don't, every single person on this planet, no one comes without some kind of issue, whether it's developed, and this is what I believe, it's not necessarily everyone's belief, but whether it's an issue that's began in your current life as a child or whatever, or it's an issue that followed you in past lifetimes that brings you into this life and you still haven't resolved, which is why, like, if you often find yourself in a situation where you're living the same thing over and over again, why do I always meet people who treat me this way? Why is every partner I have the same? Why is this being done to me? In my opinion, it's not being done to you. You're doing it to yourself because you haven't acknowledged why yet, why you're choosing these people, what about, I don't know if I'm articulating it properly, but
this is a very important point, actually. Is moving from powerlessness, which is not our truth.
No.
It's moving from the victim mentality,
right?
No matter how much trauma or horrific stuff has been done to you. By others or yourself even, right? So if we've abused ourselves through food or through drugs or alcohol or whatever, overworking or whatever, just being mean to ourselves. I mean, that's one of the reasons we are sick, is when we don't take care of ourselves, we don't honor ourselves. No matter what it is, it's that healing. The flip side of it is accessing our power. So both individually and then our world, what we're seeing on the outside is a reflection of every single person's inside.
100%.
So that's the only thing that we can do to heal the world. So if I'm really upset with what's happening outside, right, which I'm human, I am, right, I have to first acknowledge that it's not out there. If there's anger out there, if there's hatred out there, if there's vengeance, if there's jealousy, if there's cruelty, selfishness, whatever I'm seeing out there that I'm blaming on whoever, political figures, my parents, my teachers, my employer, whatever it is I'm seeing out there, that's an opportunity to then heal it in here. Because it's only being a mirror for all of us. And so then if I can be honest and be courageous, I find that there's a lot of courage that's required to do this work.
There really is, because it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable, right? To say, okay, well, I have all of this that they need. So how can I sit down and how can I acknowledge and those feelings that we talked about of anger, anxiety, sadness, depression. I've seen this both again with myself and with working with our patients, with people, is that those feelings then are almost like a guidepost to say, what haven't you healed of the trauma that's out there that's actually within you? And if every single one of us, because we are here for a purpose, if every single one of us really committed today, right now, to doing that work, right, then we will with time have the external world we want.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why we're not seeing that external world right now as we speak is because from yesterday and back, we've never prioritized. Well, we've
Been
been
unable to
emotional
prioritize,
and spiritual
base, yeah.
healing. We've only focused on the material well-being, right, of our of ourselves and of our world. That's been our main focus. And obviously we're seeing that that's not working. We can't change what we're seeing outside moving forward without every single one of us committing to doing this inner healing.
So true. Yeah, we can't sit at home in the comfort of our homes and expect the world to change
the government
without giving our
politicians.
power away to
Yeah.
governments, giving our power away
To
to
politicians.
leaders or people. We all have an innate power. We are born with it. All humans have it to create our own realities, how we want them to be. We all have this ability. And like, this is bringing that thought into a personal example. I woke up one morning, I mean, this is every day kind of for me, but I have a very excited feeling toward creating things. You know, I want to do pottery. I want to learn to play the piano. I remember wanting to learn to play guitar, so I taught myself how to learn to play guitar. I wanted to crochet. And so I wanted to paint. And like, I started painting, and I decided that I'm an artist. I'm an artist. And I'm not just becoming an artist. I've always been an artist. We're all artists. We're all artists.
Yeah.
Whether it's the art of speaking, art of writing, art of healing, whatever, we are all artists. And this is why everyone is important, because we all have something valuable to contribute to the world. And we are too busy. The sad thing that I feel for our children is we live in such a technology-dominated world. We are so distracted. That's what it is. We are distracted by our devices, by social media, by news that's scary. We are distracted by all of these things. And we have so much information available at our fingertips at all times that it becomes very difficult to not be distracted. You have to prioritize the personal inner healing that's required. You have to say, you know what, I'm going to put down my phone.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn off the television. I'm going to go sit quietly, and I'm going to just
turn off the news.
I'm going to just exist. I'm going to just sit here and be. And it's very uncomfortable for a lot of people to just sit and exist. A lot of people find that uncomfortable, but it's that uncomfortable feeling. It's those uncomfortable feelings that are the beginnings of the inner work. You have to get beyond being uncomfortable with just yourself existing as is. And I'm talking like accepting yourself, every single piece of you, you know, from what we are so focused on the way we look, how we present ourselves. You know, women are programmed from a young age to be beautiful, look this, do that, makeup here, look, don't age, and heaven forbid, don't age. No, age, enjoy it, love your wrinkles, love your gray hair, and like, this is coming from someone who dyes her hair regularly, and actually since COVID, I've started getting more gray hair, and I honestly am like, ooh. Because it's
I'm not there yet, Jenna.
But,
I had to cover it with the powder because I can't do.
Well, and you know what? I mean, like, I'm not saying
right now with the restrictions. So the powder is my friend right now.
But
so I'm not there to say loving it yet, but definitely the message is really.
But like, imagine that you got to be here for so long that you are getting gray hair.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how more grateful one can be. Like, you earned those wrinkles, and it's like women and mothers who go through the challenges with your body, myself included, after having a baby, and your body is scarred, you have stretch marks. I mean, I remember saying this to my youngest, and I was very happy with myself that I said it. Not even necessarily sure if I believed it at the moment, but looking back on it, I totally believe it. One day he came up to me and he said, "Mommy, your tummy's really soft and fluffy." And I said, "You know, Grady," that's his name. I said, "Grady, it's because I got to carry you there, and I love my belly for that." And it's like, that's what I mean about gratitude. Start being thankful for things that you maybe used to dislike about yourself, because
at the end of the day, none of that matters.
And this
Like,
is just the body for what's carrying
We
our
are-
heart.
yeah,
and
this
love.
is like, I think-
that's all, and I think that's really important. Just on the note of the belly, because I'm going to do a shout out to my son, who when he was little, he would call mine pizza dough. And so he loved it. And he one day when he was growing up, he's like, "Mommy, I'm so happy that yours is not flat, and all muscular because because it's soft and I get to put
It's
my
a
hand
soft
on
place,
it."
yeah.
Yeah, and that is, that is coming from the child's eye, which is they see beyond the physicality. They feel the love of the mother, right?
Yeah.
And that's what others do too, right? At the end of the day, we look at ourselves really critically. I'll notice my own gray hair and what's wrong, right? But no one else is paying attention to that. They're experiencing me, and from a heart space, from a love space, from a being space, and the first part of the healing that you were really mentioning is now that came through is having that love for yourself.
Yes.
Coming to love all of it. How the body looks like, how you're aging, the emotions, all of that love is the beginning of that healing that we're going to be doing individually, which then will create each one of us through the work that we do, through our interactions, to the world that we see.
Yeah.
Because really, the world is a reflection of people not being in their truth, people not being happy with who they are, people going towards things like money and fame and power, right, to feel good, when you don't really need those things to feel good.
No, you know, and in fact, I think, I mean, not that I can speak for having lots of money, because I don't, but I can only imagine that, you know, without doing the kind of inner work that got me to where I'm even able to sit here and have this conversation, I can only imagine that having the money, having everything, having all that, it would become meaningless. Like it wouldn't, if you don't know how to appreciate the simple things you have, it wouldn't matter if you have $5 billion, you won't understand how to appreciate it. You won't understand the gratitude. Like you have to, and it is fundamental that you forgive yourself. You know, I talked about holding grudges.
Yeah.
Let go of mistakes you made. You are human. We are human beings. We all make mistakes. We all do dumb things at times. We are that is how we learn. That's how we learn. Forgive yourself. If you did something horrible to someone at one stage in your life, you know, if you make amends if possible, and if it's not possible, forgive yourself for being, because you needed to be that person at that time to get to where you are now. You had to go through that. These are lessons. And that person that you were mean to needed that lesson for themselves to find their power. They needed these, like, everything is so connected. It is so connected. Like, I don't know how to express that verbally, right? But
You experience
I experience it. You can see the ripple effect. Like even your thoughts are so powerful, okay? That, like, imagine, I often play with this idea in my head, and maybe this is crazy. I'd like to think it's not, but you know, your thoughts are powerful. Your thoughts are energy. Energy isn't destroyed, created, like energy kind of just is. So if you are constantly shooting out negative thoughts, that negative energy is perpetually going on and on and on into existence, okay? So we need to...
And creating, manifesting in the form.
Yeah,
right?
like...
Both physically, I've seen in my, you know, in my career that that illness, physical illness, is directly tied to that, you know, negative thoughts, negative energy.
Right.
Medicine has shown that in many which ways, from everything from our blood pressure to our blood sugar to pain to inflammation in our body is connected to our thoughts and our emotions and that, you know, negative energy. But then it does radiate, it affects people. So you know that if you're sitting with or you're close to somebody who does have those thoughts, even if they're not communicating to them, you just don't feel great. You feel unwell. You maybe feel it physically. Especially if you're a very sensitive person, if you're an empath, you'll feel it even more significantly.
Yeah.
And then you can be seated by somebody who just is very calm, is very loving, no judgment for themselves or others, right? Loves unconditionally, and they won't necessarily even have to say a word. And if you're in their vicinity, you just feel this, you know, just this peace.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to say, because that peace doesn't just radiate in the physical space here, but radiates all out to all corners of the universe.
Definitely, yeah, it definitely does. I think that actually I wanted to go back and just touch on when we were saying that it's our inner emotions. Let's say if we have things that have to resolve, anger, whatever, is a reflection or it's mirrored out. The world is the way it is because so many people collectively haven't done the healing. To flip that in a positive way, the world feels very hard and cold and scary right now, also because a lot of people are starting to do that inner work. There's so much awakening going on right now, and there is so much light being cast on us right now that we are, all of these problems and scary things that we are seeing with the world, this was always there. We're just seeing it now because there's that much more light here. And that gives me hope. That's always dark. This is mixing my metaphors here, darkest before the dawn, but like we are now seeing all of this stuff because we're at a moment where enough people, this is personal opinion, enough people are kind of waking up and realizing the importance of self-healing, that, we cast the light onto the dark shadows of ourselves doing the inner work. That light is also cast upon the globe and all the dark corners in the world. And we are seeing it now. We clearly, as a collective, acknowledge we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
But we're collectively acknowledging the entire world is going through
a shadow healing.
Yes.
Carl Jung.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about Carl Jung
I don't
before.
think we've talked
So
about
he's one of my favorite people to learn from. He's just a humanitarian genius. Dr. Carl Jung, psychiatrist.
Okay.
Did a lot of work that's impacted, just how we see ourselves, psychology, many areas. He's influenced all parts of the world in many, many different ways. And he talked about shadow healing, right? To uncovering the shadow, so the dark sides of our own individual being, right? The rage, the jealousy, the anger, the hurt, the sadness that's unresolved, and often generational, right? So we're doing right now work for generational pain and trauma that hadn't been addressed because we didn't have the ability, consciousness, the awareness to do that work. And when you're doing that work, it is overwhelming. And that's why this is such a tumultuous, your word is great, perfect for it, it's such a chaotic time in our history. But it's also because, it's like, as you were saying, uncovering the shadow, it's like having, a beautiful rug, but there's been like this much, dirt and dust underneath it, and you've just been unaware of it, right? And one day, you have a guest that comes over and says, "Oh, okay, let me see what's under the rug," and they like pull the rug over,
and then you're just
kind of like, you're in this beautiful home, but now this much dirt right underneath the rug, and you're embarrassed and you're overwhelmed and you're, oh my God. But the truth is that dirt's been there this whole time. And so now you have a big job to do. But if you didn't have this chaos, if we didn't have this just,
we would be unaware of all of the problems that need to be solved.
And the pain that we were all experiencing, and the fact that there was no real justice before, COVID, I would say, in a big way. There was no, there was a lot of people who were suffering from, inequality.
Yes.
Right? A lot of people just being on autopilot, going to work, coming home, buying stuff, materialism, right? There's just so much right now. Our healthcare system, people weren't aware of how broken our education system, our political systems. I mean, this is a huge gift right now, although it's very painful.
It's hard to view, I can see it being hard to be viewed as a gift by a lot of people, but it actually really is. This is what's waking up a lot of people to the, like you said, this is the rug being lifted and exposing all the dirt underneath that we have to fix. We can't just put the rug back down and act like it's not there. It needs to be.
And that each of us is a key player in, continuing the metaphor of the rug, cleaning out this dirt, and now creating through our own, reflection, this work, the world that we want to create.
I actually want to talk about, so I think we wanted to kind of discuss the importance of like coming into your power.
Yes.
I have been given, a newfound confidence in myself, and even a newfound kind of faith in humanity, because I believe that if I can go through this type of transformative change internally, I know everyone can. every human being can.
Yes.
And something exciting for me is what I decided to do in terms of owning my powers. When I talked about doing my art, I said, you know what? I want to be an artist. I am an artist, and I'm going to share my art, because if I share what I'm doing and I'm creating something from the heart, from an authentic place, people will recognize that. They will recognize that, and they will see that before they see maybe the quality of the work, or the fact that I don't know anything about art, and the fact that I have no training at all. Like, they will see someone just trying to create joy, right?
From your heart.
From your heart.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that I've had really positive feedback from it. And I've actually had a colleague of mine start painting. And she told me, she's like, you gave me the inspiration to do this. You did, because you said, you know, be brave, do it. You want to do it, put it out there. Do not care 1 minute what anyone else thinks, because at the end of the day, the only person that you have to answer to is yourself. You only, and when you are true to yourself and you're kind to yourself, it's automatic. You are kind to everyone else. People pick up on that. And so she started painting with her daughters.
Wow.
And I remember saying to her, I said, that's enough right there. Like, that just gives me so much happiness to know that me doing this is now having you do that. And now they're going to do that and do something else. And it's a chain, it's a domino effect.
Well, okay, my goosebumps are fully up right now, because I want, if you can share the story of how you came to it. And I'll start this part of it off with your art being that you've gifted me these 3 beautiful pieces of your art that I have in my office. And so many people that have come, almost every month, I would say, I get some kind of comment of people, commenting on how beautiful it is. Or, and then I share, because one of them is like, blooming. There are 3 pieces of basically, we'll show you the artwork that you do with the eye and the tulips. One is daytime blooms.
Yeah.
The other one
There's night blooms, and there's a water one.
Yeah, which you said to me, this is because even in the darkness, even when things are tough, we're still growing, we're still blooming.
Yeah.
We can't see it because it's dark, but it's still happening.
Yeah.
And then the other one is just full on sunshine.
Yeah.
Is right, the bigger one.
Yeah.
And it's influenced so many people. It influences me regularly, just having them on the wall.
Oh, that
Right?
That
And then every time people come in and I say, well, yeah, this is a person I know who discovered that she was an artist in her 30s.
Yeah.
And it just
almost
makes them,
40s.
Almost 40.
Yeah.
And it makes them feel, and she never painted before,
No.
she never drew before, she didn't even know she had this talent. She just started. And then it makes them then have hope and confidence in their own ability to create from the heart space.
Yeah.
So do you, with that, do you want to share the story of how you came to art? And then we're going to show people.
Sure. Well, I feel like me coming into my art stemmed from, or came from, that place that I think I touched on earlier, of that desire to create, that need to create. I feel a lot of humans, and we have this need to be remembered. You want to leave a legacy behind. So this was just my need. I needed to express what was inside of me.
How did you feel it? How did you feel it?
I just felt,
what happened that you actually felt it? What happened that you picked up the brush? You went up, because you had to go up and buy the equipment. You didn't have anything.
No, I wanted to paint.
What came? Was it a feeling? Was it a knowing? Was it a thought? What made you think, I'm going to go paint and buy equipment to start painting?
I guess it was a knowing. It was a knowing.
You just woke up
I just kind of said, you know what? I love all of the things so I follow a lot of makers and artists on Instagram, and I've always been creative in terms of writing and whatnot. And I loved the visual feast of this, and it brought me so much joy, and I just wanted to create, I just wanted to contribute, and I just felt the need. I'm like, but I think it came from a place of, I want to show that you don't have to be perfect. There is no perfect. Okay, there's no perfect. There's no right way to do art. There's no wrong way to do art. Art just is. Okay, it's an expression of what's inside of you. And I wanted to, particularly with the tulips and the eyes, those were my first deep dive into my art, and it came from a place of just wanting to express this awareness, right? It was like me expressing that I had awakened, and I suddenly was bing, like my eyes were open and I was awake. And the tulips with the eye kind of represent I think I had in one Instagram post, I think I recall writing, it's like they see you seeing them. They are their eyes are your eyes, are the eyes of the universe. Like it's like just this big connection because we're all connected. And I just felt the need to get it on canvas, I guess. And then I loved it. It wasn't like any professional art. It was simple. It was childlike. It was whimsical. There were no rules, joyful, and I didn't care that it didn't follow any rules. And I had enough of being self-conscious. I had enough. I'm like, you know what? And I think I talked to you about this earlier, but I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't want to apologize anymore for existing. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to feel embarrassed to go out because my makeup's not on, my hair is not done. I'm not going to be scared to be seen on camera because, I've put on 10 pounds. No more. I'm here on this planet at this time for a reason. I am here. My purpose is to share joy, to help people feel joy, and to have other people realize you don't have to apologize for taking up space. Your space is just as important as everyone else's space and as valuable. And if we all looked the same and behaved the same, it would be a really boring world to live in. So that it just kind of came from this is me now, and I wanted to do that and get it out there.
Wow.
So, and then you commented on it and then I was like, oh my gosh, somebody actually wants my art. And I love that. I was like, oh, and then that propelled me to go like forward and do more, and I have ideas and I plan to grow and I just want to keep creating.
So amazing. So we're gonna let's hear your art.
Do you want to see some? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find the tulip ones first, because this was kind of my earlier.
Yeah, I love these.
This is my early. I don't know if there's a glare, but so this is the tulips. And this is the night blooms and night blooms, I guess I call these.
Yes.
It does. Even in the dark, in your darkest hour, you can still grow and bloom. And it's that, there's a saying of even, you think that you're buried, but really you're planted. You're a seed. You think that you're buried in the soil. You think that you're in the dark and you're buried, but no, you're a seed and you're planted and you'll still grow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of,
and then you have to burst. You do have to burst.
Yeah.
Your ego has to burst.
Yeah.
You have to burst through your fears.
Yeah.
That seed has to, I love that image of that, it has to break open. It has to let go of its doubts, its,
the
its
fear.
judgment.
Judgment is a huge.
Judgment is huge.
Yeah, judgment is huge. And
in order to share, its nutrients, its color, its plant with the world.
Yeah, and
let's see this here. This I like this here.
Yeah, I'll show you a couple
so
more.
joyful.
And then this one's just cute, but it's happy. It's just budgies. I love budgies. I love birds. But this actually has become one of my favorites. It was just very simple. This is another one that's kind of again more in the spiritual realm. This is a common the Hamza symbol, the hand of Fatima.
Yeah. With the eye.
And I like the color.
The heart.
Yeah, it's just love, protection.
Yeah, color.
Yeah.
I
don't really know what to say. Like what I can't express in words, perhaps this expresses. I don't know.
Do you see these? Like, does it come to you, or
I just saw. I see.
Yeah, how did that process? Like, as never having done any art before, when you were describing it to me the first time. Like, does it come to you?
So these in particular, these ones, I just sat down and painted. I just wanted to, I painted.
Yeah.
This one, I had to have a little bit of help because I knew I love budgies. Yeah. So I kind of looked up a budgie and then kind of in my own style did a budgie. And then this one, I wanted to do this image. So this is a standard image, like you'll see this, the hand everywhere. Yeah. But in terms of the color and all of that, like I wanted it to be in my style. And this one, life is but a dream. It really is. This life, we are living a dream, and it's literally what we make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, because I love flowers and I also love UFOs. It's true, I do. And I do feel I don't know, I think there's a lot of spirituality to be felt, like in plants and flowers and things like that. So flowers are actually really prominent in my art too. And I still get, will I forever get joy from creating art? I don't know. But if I don't, I'll move on to something else, But right now I'm in this phase and I'm loving it. And And actually, just one quick thing to touch on about judgment. And I was having a conversation with a colleague about this. If you even using the word hate, like I hate this or I do that, or it carries with it a lot of power, a lot of energy, a lot of weight. And when we judge people, no matter who they are, no matter what they've done, we are carrying with us that heavy energy of judgment. Okay, mm-hmm. Judgment is not something that's freeing and weightless and joyful. When you judge someone, you are. It's a lower.
It's constricting.
Yeah. And it can be hard. You can see someone doing something in the world that's completely horrendous, and you think that they should be punished to the full extent of the law or whatnot. But I always try, when I feel myself beginning to judge someone, because it's a natural thing. We always intercompare, and standards of how we were brought up or this or that. Like there's always reasons and ways to find to judge somebody. But it's a yucky feeling. I don't like it. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to say to my colleague, what I do is I always ask, when I catch myself judging someone because they're behaving a certain way, why are they behaving that way? And then I try to think of them, I actually try to picture them as a baby. Mm. Because everyone started in this world as a baby, a completely innocent baby, completely devoid of anything negative, right? Like the most pure essence of love is a baby. And somewhere along their life path, things happened that brought them to that moment that they're in now that's causing me to judge them. And it's so clear that there's so much unresolved pain within people that are doing things. And if you're judging, so I try to envision that, and I just try to, and that helps me to not judge so much, because at the end of the day, the judging hurts me.
That's right.
It doesn't, so-and-so on the internet doesn't know if I'm looking at something that they've posted and I'm judging it. They don't know that. However, I feel it. I'm feeling that negative emotion of judging. I don't want to feel that, or if I do, then that's inner work. Why do I feel this way? It is so freeing. It is so freeing to try to just let go of that. I don't really know how else to describe it.
That's perfect, because you're right. When we judge, when we judge others, we're also actually judging ourselves. We have that lens for ourselves, and it's usually pretty harsh, right? It's a harsh judgment of ourselves, what we've done wrong, what we didn't do, what we should have done. Yeah. How other people viewed us or what they said, and then internal more judgment, and then we will feel justified into judging other people's actions. And no matter how heinous those actions can be, there are people who are doing all kinds of horrible things or have done. It's not our place to judge, because we don't know what brought them to that place. We don't know what's brought them to this place right now. And it will cut off our own power. It's constricting energy. It will cut off our own access to our own power to love, actually, because the flip side of judgment is unconditional love. Yeah. And unconditional love doesn't mean that we allow those behaviors to occur. So if someone's, obviously doing really horrific things, harming people, it's not like we're going to allow that. Yeah, you
don't turn a blind eye.
You don't turn a blind eye and say, "Oh yeah, go ahead, no problem. I'm going to unconditionally love you." We want to hold people accountable. Yes. But it's not our place to have that hatred, that wrath.
It really only hurts you.
It hurts you, and
the collective.
Exactly. Yes, and that energy gets radiated to the rest of the world, and it just perpetuates and perpetuates and perpetuates. So at all times, it's honoring. I love the word honoring, but it's honoring the humanity in every single person. Yeah. And having compassion for whatever the journey has been, because the first beneficiary of that, and I've seen this in medicine. I've seen this in physical health, emotional health, mental health, well-being, is the first beneficiary of that is ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We heal physically, mentally, emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
When we have that compassion, when we have that unconditional love for others, when we allow people, just accept them as they are.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
hard.
It is hard. Yeah, it's
not
none of this is easy.
Yeah, I'm not saying this because I've mastered this.
Yeah.
I'm on my journey as well.
Yeah.
But when we do that, then we can, first of all, that healing in ourselves again goes back to the external.
Yeah.
So it has a very, and you have to almost experience it, because I'm sure if you had the judgment, do you think you would have been able to create this?
Oh no. I know. Like that's what I mean. And we all judge ourselves, you know, even probably when you and I go back and watch this video, there will be moments of ooh, or like that is a natural thing to be human. It's natural, but it's doing it in a mindless way that's the problem. If you catch yourself doing it, it's okay that you're doing it, but then examine why you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's where the healing is. The why. Why is this happening? Why do you feel this knee-jerk reaction to this person having done this? Right?
Yes.
And I don't know. And that, all of those things are what have helped me get through kind of many hard times. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that I'm all healed, and no, far from it. But these are tools that have certainly helped me on my journey, and will continue to help me for sure. Continue with my own confidence in myself, my own power of how I control my reality, of how I am responsible for what happens in my life. Mm-hmm. And while bad things can happen to me, bad things can happen to any of us, and this, how I react to that, how I manage that, how I deal with the outcome of what has happened to me, how I deal with the inner emotions it has caused, that is what matters. That is where the answer lies for us to change the world. Is, again, we've said it already, do the inner work, heal yourself. And if enough people can do it, and it gets into the collective, because unfortunately there are people in the world who don't have a life that allows them the time to do inner work. There are a lot of people who are very
trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, and I don't have time to sit there and do inner work and examine, and nor do they want to, because their life is hard.
Family.
Right, but even in saying that, those are the people that might need to practice the simple gratitude the most, because it might be the most powerful for them. Like there is always something to be grateful for, because there is always someone who has it worse off than you. Always. Mm-hmm. And even the person, like, I don't know how else to say it. There's always something to be grateful for, and we can always find it if we look.
I have a story I'm going to share with my father. When he was little, he was the youngest of 7 children, and he lost his dad. His dad was, I think, in his 30s. He lost his dad when he was 3, and his mother was, they didn't have an income. The dad died, and his mother was left with now raising 7 children, right, on her own, and she basically could sew and could cook. Mm-hmm. And so they had a really hard time, and it was around in the 1930s, right? Okay. So in Iran, so it was really, really tough time. But he says to me, he never felt poor, although they were very, very poor. Mm-hmm. He never felt poor. And his mother had this ability to be able to, just through her calm presence, through her being really rooted in her faith. She was a faithful person, but she was also a poet. She loved poetry. Okay. She loved the arts. She was able to really create this calm presence, this energy about her, this feeling of the divine feminine, mm-hmm. right? That nurturing about her, that he never felt that they were. They had actually a very, very happy childhood. Mm-hmm. He even mentioned that one time they realized that she would pretend she was cooking all kinds of food, and she would have a pot with a rock in it boiling. They didn't have food, but she would have a rock in it boiling as if they were making soup, mm-hmm. right? And they had to basically ration all kinds of food, and yet he never felt it. And so we can't understand that in our world, in the developed world. Most of us can't understand that. But how a person is able to do that, not lose hope, raised
amazing.
these kids. All these kids became, very, successful.
Yeah.
They became educated. They went on to have, successful children like cousins and second cousins. Very, 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 very strong family line from my dad's side that was really rooted in my grandmother being this presence that, even though in the midst of, the war, 7 children, financial, despair, she was able to hold the fort.
Yeah, and she still found a way to create joy for her and the people in her life. That's a true testament to like the human spirit right there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's a really nice story. I like that story. Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me and giving me the chance to share my story, I guess. And
I think the impact that you've had, on me, on our video team, on people out there. I think I don't think you'll understand necessarily the impact that you've had, but it's been pretty huge.
Well, that's nice to hear.
And that's the power. That's a testament to the fact that you don't need to be. It's not about your education or about your position or about your status.
I'm a human being.
You're a human being.
I'm a human
who's
being
healing the world through your own healing and through your own love and joy.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful that we had this opportunity to share you with everyone.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenna.